Thanks for watching this special edition of the Council in Brief. I'm Susan Kennedy. Breast cancer affects 1 in 8 women nationwide. But this past spring, breast cancer hit close to home when Councilmember Nancy Floreen announced she has stage 1 breast cancer. When we asked her if she would let us be a part of her journey, she agreed. So we bring you an inside look in this new chapter in Councilmember Floreen's life. It started as a routine appointment with her physician and in order to follow up with a mammogram, something Councilmember Nancy Floreen did on a regular basis. But after she was called back for a second look followed by a biopsy, the #1 health worry of women across the nation became a reality for her.
When the biopsy came back, the doctor called me. And of course, it was a busy budget day and a busy day for me generally. And so I didn't even have time to think about it very much. But I mentioned it to some people, and they all told me their stories as well at that point in time. And then I learned what a world there is of women in this exact situation. It is just unbelievable.
It was then she knew she would need the support of family and friends to help her through this new chapter in her life.
It just has that kind of wacky, I'm here for you.
Her husband David, their 3 children, and her faithful friend Lady are the core of that network. She says the wide array of medical talent and resources in Montgomery County is comforting. Doctors scheduled a lumpectomy the week after the final vote on the budget, which left little time for anxiety.
Luckily, we had the budget. And of course, that was a major effort this spring. So it certainly was my primary focus. And, I steeled myself. I said, until I really have something to be worried about, I'm just not going to go searching on the internet. So I didn't.
But the news of her cancer hit home hard for Ms. Floreen's family. Her only daughter, Rebecca, says she's always thought of her mother as indestructible.
It felt awful. It was like the worst news ever. I cannot imagine a life without her there, and getting married or having a life and kids and my mom not being there. So it was sort of inconceivable. Again, it's this idea that this is not happening.
Although the news shook the family, Rebecca says her mother's strong, no-nonsense personality kicked into high gear as she began her road to recovery. Councilmember Floreen credits early detection for her stage 1 diagnosis and positive prognosis. She decided to go public with her disease not only because of her status as a public figure, but also to encourage women to get their mammograms.
I do feel an obligation to share things that might help other people make decisions that they have been resisting. And I hope getting this word out is encouraging women to have their mammograms. I've talked to a lot of people who don't want to deal with this or have put it off. They say, oh, yeah, I know. And they've gone and made appointments. And, it's also encouraged people to talk about this. And that's a great thing.
Since going public with her diagnosis, Ms. Floreen told us she's been approached by dozens of well-wishers and folks who say her openness has encouraged them to share their stories. It's that deep connection that has her now on the path not only to fight her disease, but to encourage other women to take a proactive role in their health. And what does her daughter have to say about how this experience has affected her mother's spirit?
I would say untouched. Entirely untouched. She's gonna fight it, and she's gonna do everything she can.
When we come back, we'll follow Ms. Floreen to her doctor's appointment where she will learn about her radiation treatment. When Nancy Floreen got the diagnosis she had stage 1 breast cancer, things began to move very quickly. Within just a few weeks, she had a lumpectomy and was back at the doctor's office.
Jerry, I'm the department director. Welcome.
Oh, hi.
to go over her pathology report and discuss the next step in her treatment.
Almost a week since you had your procedure done. Tell us a little bit about how you're feeling.
Fine, really. Still a little sore, but I can move my arm, something I was worried about, and that's a good thing. And I've been getting some rest, and I think I'm fine.
Everything has a downstream effect.
Dr. Lori Hersher is a radiation oncologist with Suburban Hospital. She says thanks to early detection, more women are surviving breast cancer than ever before.
Dang.
Yep, that's me.
In the case of Miss Floreen, radiation is the next step in the treatment process.
Radiation is basically energy. It is very focused and precise in where we put the energy, but it is basically high energy waves.
You can put your purse down, and I'm going to have you stand up on the scale and get your weight, sir.
Councilmember Floreen's treatment will cover 6 weeks of radiation therapy, 5 days a week. Dr. Hersher says there can be side effects to the treatment, but most are localized to the site of the radiation.
There are potential side effects to radiation therapy, and it's basically dependent on where the radiation is being delivered. So in this case, it is basically the breast that is being radiated. The most common side effect for breast irradiation is skin irritation. It's much like getting a mild to, well, actually could be anywhere from a mild to moderate to severe sunburn.
In the meantime, Ms. Floreen says she is trying to pace herself in her duties.
But I'm going to put some limits on my time this summer.
But that can be a challenge for someone who is as dedicated as she.
It's going to be an interesting balancing act this summer.
She was back at work less than 2 weeks after her lumpectomy, and she also made an appearance at the council's evening town hall meeting June 15th.
At least the decision makers knew that this year was going to be a challenge, and they knew that a year ago.
But in the end, she says this has been an educational experience that has given her the opportunity to help others who are on the same path.
I've heard so many stories from so many women and men about their cancer experiences, and I think it is important for people to feel comfortable in talking about this and also helping the community know how to deal with it. You know, people are a little nervous about me, and I'm sure about other people in a similar situation. And if this helps eliminate some of the barriers, I'm all for it.
The Montgomery County Women's Cancer Control Program provides yearly breast and cervical cancer screening and follow-up for low-income, uninsured, and underinsured women. Donna Carter heads the Wheaton office, where more than 1,600 county women visited over the past year.
More and more women are hearing from their friends, from their physicians, from community organizations, the importance of getting breast and cervical cancer screening, especially breast screening. Those numbers are rising. 1 in 9 women is diagnosed with breast cancer. We are finding cancers earlier because we're screening often and we're screening early, and that's a big push for this program and programs like this to be able to provide the screening services for those who may put that aside for other more important needs in their lives. That now they don't have to worry about cost. We hope to be able to help them.
Women's Cancer Control Program.
You've been in this job for 10 years. What do you have to say to women?
Well, I think the best response is to do preventative health care, and if you have a program like this and you're a Montgomery County resident, there's no reason why there should be any barriers to getting screening exams like an annual mammogram and a pap test. And then if the result appears to be abnormal or is abnormal, then there's resources that can just take the financial piece and stress off your plate.
This federally funded program is specifically for women aged 40 to 64. It is the goal that the women who need these services are able to do so at no cost.
Part of the mandate of our program is to not only provide an initial screen for breast cancer, but also to bring these women back year after year so they get yearly mammography with us. We also provide cervical cancer screening, and so we provide that primarily for women who have not had a hysterectomy. And the focus, that money is definitely for women who are mostly 50 and over, but we do provide some PAPs for women 40 and over.
And Dr. Hersher's advice?
Hello. eat well, exercise, stay positive.
And what about those women out there who haven't gotten their mammogram and they're 40 years old or older? What do you say to them?
I would say time to get a mammogram.
After this break, we will check in with Councilmember Floreen as she continues her radiation treatments. Getting radiation treatment for breast cancer at the crack of dawn every morning wasn't exactly how Nancy Floreen planned on starting her summer. But the reality is, this is her drill until the end of July. She's the first patient to arrive at the Suburban Radiation Oncology Center each day.
I come here every morning first thing, and it doesn't take long at all for the procedure. It's about 10 minutes max. It's mostly getting in and chatting, and then leaving. So it's pretty convenient for me.
It was after a tumor was spotted in a routine mammogram that this new chapter in her life began. Doctors wasted no time in scheduling a lumpectomy. After receiving a pathology report that was good news, Ms. Floreen began her 6-week radiation treatment to eradicate any trace of the cancer that could possibly be left behind.
You're not supposed to move at all. So I'm very quiet, and I just sort of let it pass. And it's not bad to have a meditative moment at the beginning of the day. That's how I treat it.
So far, she says, she's doing fine.
I think I'm starting to feel some fatigue from it. That's what they say. And I'm getting a little bit of burning or sort of a rosy glow from the daily radiation, but it's nothing that can't be overcome. And of course, I'm busy anyway, so is it my committee work or is it the radiation? I couldn't really tell you what the issue is.
The staff at the center are part of the new circle of friends she's gained from her experience. Their support, along with that of her family and friends, has been overwhelming and has given her the courage to be open about her cancer.
Certainly I've learned a lot about cancer. And I still can't believe that I have breast cancer. I really don't think it's sunk in. The other thing that I've learned really from other people is being a patient means being patient. You really need a lot of patience. Just learning the system, learning the bureaucracy, learning the do's and don'ts, and taking the time to think about it and talk about it.
She looks pretty happy right now. She is a lucky dog, lucky lady.
At the advice of doctors, Ms. Floreen says she will make more time for herself over these next several weeks. She's made some changes to her diet.
Less red meat, more fruits and vegetables.
And is exploring a yoga class for cancer survivors as part of her physical therapy. There is no doubt this is the #1 thing in her life right now, and that she considers herself one of the lucky ones.
Thing is, it's okay. It's a disease, really. This can be overcome. I've met so many people with great stories of how they have dealt with this and certainly moved on. I have aunts who had breast cancer and lived for 30 more years.
So you're not seeing any cancer now?
This is just diagnostic now. Just diagnostic images now. Just for our planning.
Well, this is your job. Get rid of whatever's in there.
That's right.
When her radiation wraps up, Ms. Floreen will sit down with an oncologist to map out a long-term treatment plan. The next chapter in her story. Well, that wraps up this special edition of the Council in Brief. We'd like to thank Councilmember Nancy Floreen for sharing her story with us. For County Cable Montgomery, I'm Susan Kennedy. Thanks for watching.